So we started the fifth chapter yesterday, uh, and I also put the notes of the last chapter uh, and yesterday's discussion in the group. You have seen or not, I know. Okay, so let us begin. Yes, so we began with the fifth chapter yesterday. Just a quick recap about sections. In the first six shlokas, Arjuna has asked the question. In the first shloka, Arjuna is asking a question to Krishna that whether I should go for karma sannyas, I should go for renunciation of the actions, or I should perform the fight. I should perform. I should do the karma yoga. Arjuna is becoming confused. So he's asking that please let me know which is beneficial. And then Krishna is speaking how now both of them, the karma sannyas as well as the karma yoga, both of them they lead to the liberation. But still, karma yoga will be better. Nishkam karma yoga will be better for Arjuna. That's how it is telling. And why it is better? Because Krishna is mentioning that how, of course, third shloka is different. No, Krishna is mentioning in this section that how it is easier to perform the Nishkam Karma Yoga rather than trying to perform the Gyan Yoga. So with respect to the ease, it is more possible, more easily possible, to become elevated in the knowledge by the performance of the Karma Yoga. Because being a soul, we have a nature to be active. So it is easier for us to be active along with the knowledge. And when we do that, what happens is there's an increment in the knowledge. The knowledge becomes fixed up more and more, rather than just trying to sit at one place and trying to contemplate upon the knowledge. So by that contemplation of the knowledge, it is difficult. It's not impossible. That is also one of the bona fide paths, the path of the Gyan Yoga, but it is a difficult path. On the contrary, the path of action, the path of the Karma Yoga, and the path of the activities with a detachment, that is more easier path. It is more easier, and it is more safer path also, because the path of the Gyan Yoga, if somebody is trying to get elevated by the method of the Gyan Yoga, he's trying to study the scriptures, but then what will happen, if his heart is not purified of the material desires, then what will happen? Those material desires will again force him to perform some material activities. So that's why it is not a safer path, that one may take sannyas, that okay, now and I'm detached from all the worldly activities, material life. But then the desires will again force him to again do some activities. So in that way, it is not a safer path. So so see, one important thing yesterday, one question was also there about that ladder, hierarchy. There's a karma yoga, then there's a gyan yoga. So one thing I mentioned it how it's just for the sake of showing, but it's not exactly like a karma yogi becomes a gyan yogi and then a gyan yogi becomes a stang yogi. No, it is being told that how there are different ways to approach the bhakti yoga. There are different paths to approach ultimately the bhakti yoga. This is one thing, and of course, let us say when we're talking about the gyan yogi, we can surely say that gyan yogi is having more purification than a karma yogi. Because see, this is how it is. Now, as you progress, there is an increase in the goodness, satoguna. One becomes freed from the material desires and one becomes more elevated in the transcendental knowledge. So surely, for all the practical purposes, a person who has come to the platform of the Gyan Yoga, now his heart has become purified of the material desires. You know? So surely, now he is on a better position in terms of purification. He has got more purification of the heart. He has more goodness. He has more access to the transcendental knowledge, like that, and he is more closer to the goal of approaching the bhakti yoga. In that sense, the Gyan Yogi is on a better position. That is the point. That is one important thing to understand. That Gyan Yogi is surely in a better position. But the thing is that so see, Gyan Yogi is also reaching to the position where he is able to be situated on the spiritual knowledge or transcendental knowledge. And the Karma Yogi also wants to reach to the position where he can be situated on the transcendental knowledge. So what is being discussed here, that is how that you see, surely a Gyan Yogi is more elevated in his knowledge, surely. But the way to attain the knowledge, the more easier way to come to this platform of knowledge is the Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. Out of these two things, Jnana Yoga and the Nishkam Karma Yoga, the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga is more easier path to approach that stature of purity, the stature of the purity which is desired by even through the Jnana Yoga as well as through the Karma Yoga. So this they mentioned. So anyway, so Krishna explained about this, that how both of them are the same in terms, because both of them lead to the same goal. Okay, and both lead to the same goal. Okay, I think so. We have seen this till shloka number 5. Krishna was telling that how yat sankhye prapyate sthanam tad yoge rapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. Right. So the goal or the position, sthanam is the position. Position means the position of the transcendental knowledge. So both the Sankhya as well as the Yoga. Yoga means Karma Yoga, Sankhya means the Jnana Yoga. So both of them lead to the same position, and in that way, both of them are same. And one who is able to see like this, he's actually seeing, which means he's learned. He's really understanding. That's the point. So see, we saw till 5th shloka, and now let's come to the 6th shloka. So just one point, which again, just so one main point which I made just now is that you see, now surely a Gyan Yogi is on a better platform of knowledge. Gyan Yogi is surely on a better platform of the knowledge. He has become more purified, and he is more closer to get the Bhakti Yoga. Surely one point, then as compared to the Karma Yogi, this is one thing. But the second point is that the way to approach that platform of purification, that platform of knowledge, now the easier way is by performance of the Nishkam Karma Yoga rather than trying to do the Jnana Yoga. So this is the main thing. Okay. Next shloka, 6th shloka. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogatah yoga yukto munir brahma na chiren adi kachati. He's telling sanyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogatah. Yeah. The sannyas which is performed ayogatah, will lead to what? Dukkham aptum. It leads to the misery. It leads to the distress. Which means what? The karma sannyas or the sannyas, or let us say यहाँ पे sannyas means the renunciation. The renunciation, the renunciation is difficult to obtain without doing the karma yoga. This is what is being told here. Ayogata means what? Without performance of the karma yoga. So it is difficult. Dukha means it is difficult, or it gives misery. It is little difficult to get renunciation without performance of the karma yoga. This is what is being told. It is difficult to get renunciation without the performance of the karma yoga. Now, yoga yukto munir brahma na chiren adi kachati. But on the contrary, a karma yogi can understand the Brahman. He can reach the Brahman. Munir means, uh, a jnani who is performing the karma yoga. A jnani who is performing the karma yoga, he can very easily understand the Brahman. He can very easily approach the Brahman. This is the meaning. Yoga yukto munir. Munir means jnani. So a jnani who is performing the karma yoga, he can very easily, na chiren means without delay. He can without much delay, he can attain the Brahma. He can attain the Brahma. Brahma is the supreme. This is the point. Okay. So see, this is the translation by Vishwanath Thakur. He says, renunciation is difficult to attain without karma yoga. Okay, first two lines, right? Renunciation is difficult to attain without karma yoga, right? We discussed, right? To become a sannyasi, to have a karma sannyas, to be able to give up all kinds of activities, it's very difficult. Just by performance of the jnana, very difficult. But the jnani engage in the karma yoga quickly attains the Brahman. But on the contrary, if here's the jnani means here it's like more of a nishkam karma yogi. A nishkam karma yogi when very quickly when can very quickly become elevated in the knowledge, and he can understand about the supreme. This is the point. Okay. So the point here is that how it is difficult to get sannyas. It is difficult to reach to the stage of sannyas without performance of the karma yoga. This is what is being mentioned here. Prabhupada is also mentioning the The proper translation is how? Merely renouncing all the activities, yet not engaging in the devotion service of the Lord cannot make one happy. Prabhupada is translating in this way, cannot make one happy. Same thing, right? So basically, if somebody just renounces activities, but is not engaging into devotional service, right? And of course, with respect to this particular episode is, uh, if somebody is renouncing the activities, trying to be a sannyasi, but is not performing karma yoga, nishkam karma yoga, then he will not be happy. It will be difficult for him to be like that. It will be very difficult for him to hold on to the renunciation. Why? Because the desires. See, for one to have sannyas, what is required is one has to have purification of the heart, purification of the desires. If someone artificially takes to sannyas without purification of the desires, then what will happen? It will be a struggle for him, right? Now, because the mind, the senses will tempt him for sense gratification, and he has to hold on, but he does not have a necessary purification of the heart to hold on. That's why it's going to be a miserable experience for him. Yeah. So, but a thoughtful person engaged in the devotion service can achieve the supreme without delay. So, but if a karmi yogi is there who is engaged into the activities and with nishkam bhav, he can. It is more easier for him to make advancement and to approach the Brahman. This is being stated here. Okay, so let's just see when this Vishnu Chakra Thakur is mentioning this. Please read this blue part.
Sannyas gives suffering for the jnani who cannot fix completely purity in his heart. Karma Yoga, however, gives pleasure. The intended meaning of what was spoken earlier is made clear. Because of not performing Karma Yoga, which can pacify the disturbance of the heart, sannyas may give rise to suffering if it is accepted without proper qualification.
So this is the point, right? The sannyas will give suffering if it is accepted without proper qualification. So if the heart is not purified and still one takes sannyas, then what will happen? He will have a difficulty. What will be the difficulty? One thing is, see, this is just spoken. What is going to be the difficulty? Uh, Baldev Vidyabhushan is mentioning, because of difficulty in performance and possibility of the error, it will be a cause of suffering. तो किसी ने सपोज संन्यास एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है ना, he is ready, he's he's not he's wanting not to indulge into any material activities, but क्या है, the purification of heart has not happened. So then what will happen? First thing is, it is difficult to do that, right? Because the desires in the mind, the desires in the senses, so it's very difficult to artificially just to control oneself. So it's like, so that's why it is difficult to perform. Okay. And second thing is possibility of the error. What is the error? You know, what is the possibility of the error? One may again indulge into the material activities, even though artificially one is trying to restrain, but the senses and the mind may again drag one towards the sense gratification. So again, one will go into the material activities. That's the error which will may happen. So this will be the cause of the suffering. And for, like for a sannyasi, if he again gets into material activities, then it is forbidden in the Shastras. Now he's seen in a bad way. This is what is being told. But on the contrary, one who is practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga, who is also contemplating the Atma. Atma means the soul, quickly attains the Brahman. This is being mentioned. And now see Prabhupada purport, if you see, Prabhupada is also bringing this in context with the Vaishnava devotees, the devotees and those who are Mayavadis, or those who are the followers of the impersonal path. Prabhupada is bringing out a contrast between them, that how, because see, those who are Mayavadi or impersonalist sannyasis, they are following the path of the Jnana. And those who are Vaishnavas, devotees, they are following the path of activities. Bhakti yoga is the path of also activities. One engages with devotion. Prabhupada is bringing out the difference, that how. So we'll read some part. Please read this blue part. Prabhupada
Mayavadi
purport.
sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord because their studies become very tedious. They sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagement. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna conscious activities are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births.
Hmm. So those who are taking this impersonal path, now see on the in the Mayavad field or in the impersonal path, one has to be fully detached. No, that's the path of sannyas. There is no domain for one to remain in the material activities. No. Now, if you want to follow the path of Jnana Yoga or if you want to follow the path of impersonalism, then the first thing is that you have to renounce the whole world because Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. The whole world is Mithya. That's the first thing. So first thing is you have to take a sannyas. That's the first thing for them. And now, without purification of the heart to take sannyas, it's a very difficult thing. It's a very dry experience. You are not able to experience any joy. It's simply a detached life, right? Proper life is a life of attachment to Krishna. That gives bliss. That's the nature of the soul. But if somebody just tries to be just detached from the material world, see the complete detachment is what? The complete detachment is consisting of detachment from the matter and attachment to Krishna. This is a complete detachment. Detachment from the matter and attachment to Krishna. So then that gives one that is the nature of the soul. A soul is attached to Krishna and it is detached from the matter. That gives that can give that can help one to attain the spiritual nature, which is Satchidananda. One can feel blissful. But what is the followers of the Mayavad or the impersonal path? They're just following one thing, just having detachment from the matter, but they don't have a positive attachment to Krishna. Then it's a very dry path. That's what is being mentioned. It is a very difficult path. That's why you find that the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis, impersonalist people, now they first they try to take sannyas. Sannyas means no more indulgence in the material activities. But then they are again into some other material activities, right? We have our Yogi ji into politics. We have our Swami Ramdev Baba again a sannyasi, but indulging into teaching people about yoga and all. They're all material activities because the soul cannot remain inactive. The soul need experience. The soul is not emotionless. No, this is path, sannyas means the path of emotionless, no activities, no emotions. So that's not the nature of the soul. So that's why these people also start doing some philanthropic activities. The Vaishnav sannyasis, we are engaged. We are engaged into the different activities for the service of Krishna. And that gives bliss, that gives happiness. It's not distressful because that is very close to the nature of the soul. So this is being mentioned. See, one small thing to just make a point here. It is told that how even these Mayavadis, they take to the study of the Bhagavatam. But because of their speculations and impersonal interpretations, what happens? They're not able to derive bliss from it. See what happens? What happened? Like Shankaracharya came and he gave, see, Buddha has come and Buddha has rejected the Vedas. Buddha told that, I don't accept the Vedas. And because Lord Buddha, very magnanimous personality, very attractive personality, so many people they turned to Buddhism. And now Buddhism means what? They have turned away from the Vedas. So then Shankaracharya came, that is Lord Mahadev, Lord Shankar. He came and he spoke. Is there any problem? Question I will take up later. Huh? So where I was? So Shankaracharya came and Shankaracharya then he gave the impersonalist, the Mayavad philosophy. He gave the Mayavad philosophy or the impersonal philosophy, which Shankaracharya gave. If you see Bhakti Yoga was there prominently in the earlier ages also, and when Krishna was there 5,000 years back, that time also Bhakti Yoga was there. And just if you study, Shankaracharya came mm, some centuries back. Shankaracharya came, and he at that time he gave the philosophy of the Mayavad. Now, see, Mayavad is a very difficult path. You have to take sannyas. You have to not indulge into any activities, and you don't have to. You see that everything is illusion, so you don't indulge into any activities, and it's like a very joyless life. You cannot eat anything properly. You cannot see any good things, right? Considering them as a Maya. So one thing is, so when this Mayavad was being given, you see, and as a path, also it is very difficult to follow, and that's why it is not very popular path also, because just studying the Vedanta and trying to understand that how everything is is only an illusion. It's a very difficult and very less popular path. See, so then what happened? These Mayavadis people, then they also took to study of the Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam was something which was relishable by the people, which was very popular. है ना? So that's why they also took the study of the Bhagavatam, but then they started giving their own interpretation to the Srimad Bhagavatam. We will find Shankaracharya didn't give any interpretation for Srimad Bhagavatam. He didn't interpreted Srimad Bhagavatam because he knew Srimad Bhagavatam is very sacred, so he didn't touched it at all. But later on, some Mayavadis they came, they gave some impersonalistic interpretations of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and so they will follow even many so-called Mayavad sannyasis. They will also follow the path of devotional service, but then their goal is different. So they also propagated, because the path of bhakti, the path of devotional service is very attractive, very colorful. It is very popular. So many Mayavadis they also took this path, and they also propagate this path, but their underlying philosophy is what? That is the Mayavad. So right now also, like, you'll find many organizations are there, which are basically Mayavadi organizations. But but their way is what? The way is bhakti. They also allow the bhakti of Krishna and chanting of the holy name and all those things. But if you see the end result, what is the consciousness to do that? They understand that that everything is ultimately Brahman. And Krishna and Rama, they are also basically material. They're also Maya. That's their underlying philosophy. So of course, so many people they also go to these organizations. Now see, those people have a inclination for bhakti. They are not so much behind the Mayavad. They have inclination for the bhakti, and they're attracted by this bhakti elements of these organizations. So they are not by inclination. They are the people who come like this by inclination. They are attracted towards the bhakti path. But from the point of the philosophy which is there, uh, they may be being a part of organization. If you say they may be part of the Mayavadi organization, but these people have an inclination for bhakti. So in our preaching also, if somebody is associated with some other organization, which are Mayavad organization, need not necessarily that he is a very fanatic Mayavadi. Not like that. Because the Mayavadis have propagated bhakti also. They have used the bhakti for their own purposes. If we preach to them, then these people can also very easily accept the bhakti path. That is one important thing, just to mention about this. Okay, so next, let us go to the next shloka. This is what was the summary of the summary. That Krishna has mentioned it how it's very difficult. It's very difficult and it is distressful to have karma sannyas. On the contrary, somebody is indulging into the karma yoga, then he can very easily approach the Brahman. Okay. Now next shloka. Uh, Krishna is now going to, this is the next section now. Krishna is going to mention about that how a Nishkam Karma Yogi, he becomes free from the bondage. How? Because of fixing his mind upon the Atma. Atma means the soul. So Nishkam Karma Yogi, he performs different activities, but he knows that I am not the body, I am the soul, and the soul has nothing to do with all these activities. So because of this knowledge, when he acts, because of acting with this knowledge, what happens is he's not getting bound, he's not getting entangled, because he has no desire for sense enjoyment, he has no desire for fruitive gain. So in this way, when he's acting, he's not getting bound. Okay, so this is the next section, 7 to 16 shloka. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma bhutatma purvam api na lipyate. So it is towards the yoga yukta. Yoga yukta means one who is linked with yoga. So here it refers to the Nishkam Karma Yogi. So Nishkam Karma Yogi, who is Vishuddha Atma. Atma here means what? The soul. Vishuddha means the purified. So Nishkam Karma Yogi who has got a purified, who has become a purified soul. And Vijit Atma, here Atma means what? Self-controlled. And Jitendriya, right? Who has conquered his senses. So Jitendriya means one who has conquered one's senses, Vijitatma means one who has controlled one's mind, and who is the Vishuddhatma, one who has got purified. Of course, Vishuddhatma, it is translated as purified soul, but here this Atma is more referring to the intelligence. See, Atma has multiple meanings. Atma refers to the body, mind, intelligence, soul, all these things. It is told that how a Nishkam Karmi Yogi who has got a purified intelligence, who has got a purified mind and the purified senses. Na. So what happens? Sarva Bhutatma Kurvan Apina Lipete. Such a Nishkam Karmi Yogi, he becomes a well-wisher of all the living entities. Sarva Bhutatma. It means he becomes very, very compassionate towards everyone. He's able to see everyone like him, which means he's able to see with compassion everyone. And Kurvan apina lipyate. So such a Nishkam Karmi Yogi, even when he's acting, although he's acting into different, he's acting, he's into different activities, still he's not getting entangled. This is the meaning. See? Now, Vishnu Thakur says, one who is engaged in the Karma Yoga, having controlled his intelligence, mind, and the senses, though he is engaged in the work, is not contaminated. So, although he engages into the activities, he is not contaminated and is the object of the love for all the living entities. So, see, basically, he has no desire for sense gratification. He is indulging into the activities with detachment. So, because he is acting with detachment, without any desire for sense gratification, so what is happening is he is not becoming bound. Right? See, see, we become karmically bound only when we act out of some material desire for some material gain. But if you don't act out of some material desire, then what happens? You will not get entangled. That's the status of a karma yogi, Nishkam karma yogi, that he's acting because his mind is controlled, intelligence is controlled, senses are controlled. So he's able to act in a way without any material desires. He's able to act with detachment. And in that way, what happens is he becomes a good friend of everyone because he has no material selfish desires, no material desires. Proper translation is one who works in the devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. The always king, such a man is never entangled. So such a man will not get entangled. Prabhupada is mentioning. Please read this blue part.
Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very, very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no change of his being deviated from Krishna, nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in the matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics related to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as he already been explained in second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dress were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reaction of work.
So Prabhupada is translating in terms of a bhakti yogi, that how a devotee, because his desire is only to please Krishna, serve Krishna, so that's why whatever actions he performs, he is not getting entangled. But with respect to the Nishkam Karmi Yogi, a Nishkam Karmi Yogi is just performing those activities with detachment. So, if he's elevated in the knowledge, he understands. So, see, one platform for him to work is that, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And these are the necessities of the body, so I will just act. This could be one platform. Or the other platform is, he understands that how there's a supreme. It may be Brahman. His understanding may be Brahman. That there's a Brahman. And ultimately everything is meant for the satisfaction of the Brahman. He may be performing those activities for the sake of satisfaction of the Brahman, but he has no attachment to those activities in that way. So he does not become entangled. Please read this also, Vishwanath Thakur's purport.
The Jnani, by performing karma, is not contaminated. That is stated in this verse. The Gyanis engaged in Karma Yoga are of three types: those who have controlled their intelligence, Vishuddhatma, those who have controlled their minds, Vijat, Vijidatma, and those who have controlled their senses, Jitendriya. The order of superiority is from last to first. Having controlled the intelligence is the best. All jivas are attracted to such a grahastha. His body, Atma, becomes the object of love, Atmabhuta, for all the living entities, Sarvabhuta.
Yeah, so this is the again same thing only, है ना? तो ये जो सेक्शन चला है ना 7 to 12 श्लोका में, now we are going, this is basically talking about the है ना the characteristics of a निष्काम कर्म योगी. ये उनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स बताया जा रहा है यहाँ पे. तो पहला कैरेक्टरिस्टिक हो गया, you know, he has a controlled mind, controlled intelligence, controlled senses, and because of that, you know, even when he's performing any activities, he's not getting entangled, you know. Urvan api na lipyate, even though he's engages, but he's not getting bound, you know. Next set of the shlokas. Shloka number 8 and 9, you know. नेव किंचित करोमीति युक्तो मन्यते तत्ववेद पश्यन् शिवन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपन् श्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषं निमिषन् अपि इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. अगेन फर्दर बताया जा रहा है, फर्दर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ ना योग युक्त मीन्स अनिष्काम कर्म योगी. और क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स बताए जा रहे हैं, देखिए. न एव किंचित करोमि इति युक्तो मन्यते तत्ववेद. न एव मीन्स सर्टनली, यू नो. न मीन्स नॉट. किंचित करोमि इति राइट, है ना. आई एम सर्टनली नॉट अ डूअर ऑफ एनी ऑफ द एक्टिविटीज. युक्तो मन्यते, तो वन हु इज अ निष्काम कर्म योगी, he understands that no, I am not the doer. All these activities which are happening, and amidst all those activities, I am not doing those activities. I am not the doer of those activities. That's the meaning. Na na evas kinchit karom iti yukto manyate tattvavid. What all activities, like, you know, passion, right, while seeing, shiman, while hearing, sparshan, while touching, jigran means smelling, ashnan means eating, gachan means walking, Swapan means, I think, dreaming. And Shoshan means what? While taking breathing. Right? Pralapan, Visrijan, the Grinan, and Unmisham, Nimishan api, right? Unmisham means blinking of the eyes, you know, and a closing and the opening of the eyes. Right? Basically, these are all different activities of our senses, right? There are activities of the Gyanendriyas, and there are the activities of the Karmendriyas, right? For example, like Pashyan, Shiman, Prashan, Jigran, Ashnan. These are activities of our 5 Gyanendriyas, right? Eyes, Pashyan means eyes, Shiman is from the ears, Prashan is through the touch, through the skin, Jigran is through nose, and Ashnan means through eating, you know, through the tongue, right? 5. And the other functions are of the Karmendriyas, right? Gachan, one walks with the legs, right? स्वपन is happening through the mind. एक मन में होता है, सपना देखते हैं हम लोग. श्वसन मीन्स ब्रीथिंग. ये सारी एक्टिविटीज बताया यहाँ पे आचार्य ने बताया, यू नो. तो सी व्हाट इज सेइंग, इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. So actually what is happening is इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेषु मीन्स जो इंद्रियों के जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं. So one is, see, you know, when all these activities are happening, for a Nishkam Karma Yogi, when all these activities are happening, he is understanding that I am not doing those activities. And how they are happening? They are simply happening how? Simply the senses are coming in touch with the sense objects. You understand that how? It is simply the contact of the senses with the sense objects which is happening. I am not doing those activities. That is his understanding, you know. See, let us just see it will become more clear. See, Baldev Vidya Bhushan is giving the translation. See, the Nishkam Karma Yogi, having knowledge of the Atma. Atma means he knows that I am the soul, I am not the body. Understanding that the senses alone are interacting with the sense objects, he understands that what is happening, the senses are simply interacting with the sense objects, you know. While he is seeing, while he is hearing, touching, smelling, eating, and that is what happens, right? Like when you are seeing something, what is exactly happening? The eyes are coming in touch with some forms. Like you see a beautiful picture. The beautiful picture is a sense object for the eyes, right? So what is happening is the eyes are coming in touch with the sense object. Right? Similarly, when you are eating, what is happening is the tongue is coming in touch with the other sense object. So this is the meaning, that he understand that the senses alone, it is only the senses which are interacting with other sense objects while one is sleeping, one is seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, or going, sleeping, breathing, speaking, and excreting through the genital or the anus, or receiving. These are the actions of the karma indriya, except for the sleep and the breathing. Opening and the closing eyes are representatives of the five secondary pranas. Uh, Says sleeping is a function of the mind, where sleeping happens to the mind. Opening and closing the eyes, things anyways care. So these are some of the details. But point is, these are the activities of the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas. Okay. So basically, what happens is one is able to see that he is not the one who is controlling these activities of the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas. He is not the doer of those activities. They are happening. How they are happening? It is simply a interaction of the senses with the sense objects. Right? So he's understanding how I am doing nothing at all. He is not thinking that he is a doer. This is the meaning. Okay. So we'll have some more elaboration, then you will understand it more properly. Let us see Prabhupada's translation. Prabhupada is telling, a person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in the seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. So he understands that these things are not happening by his will. Yeah? Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. So basically, Nishkam Karmi understands. No? So basically, he's not having a false ego that I am the doer of these activities. This is the characteristics. So he's not having the false ego. And he understands that how these things are happening automatically, which means what? It's not that they're happening without any control, but the thing is they're not controlled by us. They happen. They are being controlled by the higher powers, no, by the superior powers. Okay. Okay. Now let us see it, little medically or scientifically also. You see how we are not the doers. See, there are different activities which are happening in our body. So see how to understand that we are not the doer of those activities. You see, there are many things in our body which are happening without our voluntarily desiring them or without our being very conscious of them. Like some examples are being given here, like digestion. Like you take some food and then the food goes inside the stomach, and then how the digestion happens, we are not controlling the digestion, right? As soon as you eat, there's a secretion of some enzymes inside the stomach, there's some adjustment of the pH values, and then the digestion happens, the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the fats, the carbohydrates, they're extracted in different ways, and then the stool is being formed and the stool goes out of the body. So all these functions are happening within our stomach, within our body. So you see, they're happening even without our conscious awareness. It's not that we desire, then only they are happening. No, without our desiring also these things are happening. And similarly, like when I'm talking to you, even though I'm talking, but I'm breathing, the breathing is happening. By default, it is happening. If it does not happen, then I will die only. So there are many things which are happening in our body, similarly beating of our hearts, or like suppose we get some wound, then automatically it gets healed, eventually. So there are many things which are involuntarily happening in our body without our conscious awareness, right? So that shows that we are not the doer of those activities. They are happening. We have got this material body, which is like a machine, and by the forces of the material nature, those things are happening automatically in our body. Okay, there's a formation of the stool, there's a formation of the urine, there's a reformation of the cells. Some cells they become decomposed. Then there's a formation of some unique cells. There's a formation of the blood. All these things are happening without our conscious awareness, right? And now see, now we may say that okay, but there are many things which we do. Like right now I'm speaking. One may say that okay, I'm the doer because I am speaking. But you see, like I may desire to speak, but it's not necessary that I can always speak, right? Suppose if I get some paralysis, let us say somebody gets a paralysis, or somebody is doing a lot of things with his hands, but suppose all of a sudden he gets a paralysis, then what happens? even though he may desire, but he will not be able to move the hands. He will not be able to move the legs, isn't it? So what does that shows? That shows that we are not the doers. We simply desire, but the things are not happening by us alone or by our desiring alone, right? So even the voluntary things which we are doing, actually we are not the doers of those things, because it's not that only by our desiring they are happening. Because even when I'm having a paralysis, I am desiring for the hand to move, but the hand is not moving. That means what? That we are not the doers of even the voluntary activities, right? So in that way we can understand that how, this is about the medical part, even medically or scientifically also we can see that how we are not the doers of the involuntary things which are happening in our body, as well as the voluntary things happening in our body. Okay, this is one thing. Now if you see the philosophical part, so now let us see about the philosophical part. See, right? We say about the karta means what? The doer, right? Now, so actually who is the doer ultimately? This is a section where we learn about who is ultimately the doer of the activities, right? Karta means the doer. Kar kaun raha hai आखिर, right? So you must have heard, we say that how soul is not the doer, we are not the doers ultimately, when we say right now. Okay, if we are not the doers, then why do we have to get the reactions? If we are not the doers of the activities, that is the sinful activities, then why do we have to suffer? No, ultimately, why these reactions comes upon us if we are not the doers of this? See what is being told that, you see, the soul is not the karta, means the soul is not the swatantra karta. When we say that we are not the doers, the Atma is not the doer, it actually does not mean that we are not doing anything, but we are not independent doers. Which means what? We are dependent upon some other people also. Based upon their sanction, only we are able to do something. If they don't sanction, we will not be able to do that. This is one thing. That we are not independent kartas, we are not swatantra kartas. This is one thing, okay? When we say that we are not the kartas or the doers, it means we are not swatantra karta, which means we are dependent upon some other factors, okay? This is one thing. Now, let us see what are the different types of kartas involved. Now, let's see, here is an example. Suppose if you have to cut a tree. So now if you want to cut a tree, then you may need to have a axe and a kulhadi, right? So a tree has to be cut. Now you need a axe, and then there's going to be a woodcutter. A woodcutter will want to cut the tree. Okay. So for cutting the tree, he will be using the instrument, which will be like the axe. Okay. So when you say now for this action, for the cutting of the tree, if you see this whole activity of cutting of a tree, so there is a woodcutter who desires to cut. So he desires to cut, and then for cutting, he is using an instrument, which is a axe. Okay. So see, there are two doers. Right? One is the woodcutter who is desiring. He is desiring, he is initiating this action. Right? So he is called as the initiating cause. The woodcutter, in this case, who is desiring to cut, he will be called as the initiating cause, because he is the original initiator. He is the original cause for this activity. Okay. And now he wants to cut the tree, but how he is able to cut the tree? By the means of the axe, by the means of the kulhadi. He can use some other things also for cutting, right? He can use a bulldozer, or he can use some other things, right? Now, so those things, those instruments which will be used for the performance of the action, see, they are the cause, right? Because it is also contributing for this activity. The axe is also contributing for the activities. So that is called as the instrumental cause, right? So for any activity, you'll find there are two kinds of causes are there. First is the desirer or the initiator. That is called as the initiating cause. Okay. And the second thing is the instrument by which the activity is being performed. Right. You take any activity. So these are the two things, right? Like suppose like I. Now I desire to speak. So I am the initiating cause, right? And then what is the instrument for me to speak? My mouth is the instrument. My body is the instrument. So this body is the instrumental cause. It is an instrument by which we are performing some activity, right? But who is the person who is desiring that? That is us. That is the Atma. Okay. This is the thing. So now see, when we talk about the activities in this world, so see in this so see, the soul desires different things. The soul is having different material desires. Okay. So in that way, ultimately the soul is the initiating cause for all the different activities which happens in this world. And now how does one perform those activities? By the means of the material body. So the material nature is providing us the material bodies, different material bodies. The Prakriti, the material nature provides us with different material bodies to fulfill the different desires of the soul. Like for example, like suppose I desire to eat, let us say, non-veg items, meat items, right? So I have initiated this. I have this desire. I am the initiating cause that I want to eat meat, let us say. So I am the initiating cause. The soul is the initiating cause. Now how to fulfill that desire? So to fulfill that desire, the mother nature is going to provide me the body of a carnivorous animal, a lion or a tiger. Okay. So the material nature or the Prakriti, that is the instrumental cause, because the Prakriti provides us with the instruments to fulfill those desires, or to fulfill और to perform those activities. सुन में आपको, तो ये दो प्रकार से कॉज बताए जा सकते हैं. एक है इनिशिएटिंग कॉज जो डिजायर करता है, और दूसरा है कि जिसके थ्रू उस डिजायर को फुलफिल किया जाता है, उससे बोला जाएगा दैट विल बी कॉल्ड एज द इंस्ट्रूमेंटल कॉज. ओके. तो अल्टीमेटली आप देखोगे, तो जो जीवा, like all of us, the atma is the initiating cause. Okay. And prakriti, the material nature, which is providing different bodies for the performance of different material activities and for the fulfillment of material desires, that is an instrumental cause, that is like an instrument. Okay. Let us see with another example, right? So these are so till now I think दो डूअर्स के बारे में आपको समझ में आ गया होगा, राइट? तो दो टाइप के डूअर्स हैं, है ना? एक तो जो इनिशिएट कर रहा है एक्शंस को, दूसरा है कि जिसके थ्रू एक्शंस हो रहे हैं, राइट? देखिए, अगर मान लीजिए आई एम डिजायरिंग बट आई डोंट हैव अ इंस्ट्रूमेंट, then will it work? Will I be able to fulfill my desire, or can the action be done? Suppose I want to cut the tree but I don't have a axe, then the tree cannot be cut, na? So इसलिए both causes are important, right? Initiating cause is also there, and the instrumental cause, both of them are important. Okay. Now there's another third cause also. There's a third doer. Okay. So what is the third doer? See, here is an example. Suppose somebody has done a crime. किसने अगर crime किया मान लीजिए, so now he deserves to be put inside the jail, isn't it? So now see, so the criminal, he has done a crime. He has done a particular crime. So he is the initiating cause because he has done the crime. And now he deserves some punishment. So that punishment will be awarded will be awarded to him, right? Like putting inside the jail for a certain number of years, or giving certain amount of punishment, beating, etc. So that will be done through the medium of the police. So police is the instrumental cause. The police will award him. Police will be the instrument to give the results of his activities. So police is the instrumental cause. Okay. And see, there will be judge. Judge is going to make a decision that what kind of punishment he deserves based upon his crime. So the judge is going to be the ultimate sanctioning cause. So see, there are three causes. No, there's an initiating cause, there's an instrumental cause, and there's also a sanctioning cause, right? So the judge will tell the police that okay, he deserves to have this punishment, and then the police will award the punishment, right? Police will become the instrument to award that punishment. But ultimately, why this thing is happening, why the judge is sanctioning, and why the police is doing, ultimately it is all because of the desire of the criminal, because he has done a crime. So in that we will find, for all these things to start, the main cause is what? The desire of the criminal. Same way, in this material world also you'll find, right? We, the soul, we desire different we have different material desires, right? So that's why we are the initiating cause of everything happening. Okay. And then what happens is the Paramatma is there inside our heart, who is watching our desires, and he's also watching our activities, right? Karmas. So accordingly he sanctions. And then how those activities we are able to, how we're able to perform those material activities, that for performing those material activities, or for fulfilling those material desires, now what becomes the instrument? The material nature, the prakriti becomes the instrumental cause, because the prakriti gives us the material bodies, or the prakriti gives us the particular atmosphere. Like for example, like I want to eat meat, prakriti will give me the body of a lion, and the prakriti will also situate me within what? Within the jungles, where there will be some other animals whom I can eat, right? So prakriti is the instrument cause, because it provides us with the body, and it also provides us with the environment to fulfill those activities, or to fulfill those desires. So likewise, we'll find that for any activity to happen, there are three kinds of causes. There are three causes. There's an initiating cause, there is a sanctioning cause, and there's an instrumental cause, right? And for all our activities in this material world, for the right, So soul is the ultimate cause. The soul is the ultimate initiating cause, and the Paramatma seated within the heart, that is the sanctioning cause, and the material nature of the Prakriti becomes the instrumental cause. Okay, so in that way, there are three types of doers. There are three kinds of doers. So any activity is happening, it is happening because of these three kind of doers. Okay. So one last important thing more. So see now, let us see how the cycle works. Right. See, very simple. Right. There are sense objects around us. So the soul being attracted by the soul, so by the sense objects. Right. That shloka is there na Gita, third chapter. What was it? ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संगस्तेषु जायते संगात संजायते कामा कामा क्रोधो विजायते. Right. Right. What it says? ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संगस्तेषु जायते. Right. When a person is contemplating upon the objects of the senses, what happens is there's a development of the lust. Dhyayato Vishan Pumsa Sanga. Sanga means what? Attachment. One develops the attachment. No, I want to get it. And then what happens because of the attachment? No, Sanga Sanjayate Kama. One develops the attachment. Attachment means one cannot remain without it. So one desires to enjoy that. That leads to the Kama. So this is the first part. See, there are sense objects in this world, and the soul becomes affected by them. Soul becomes attached to them. Soul becomes attracted to them. So this is the soul. This is a conditioned soul who is becoming attracted by the sense objects. Okay. So the soul is desiring to have the sense objects. Okay. So the soul desires or the intents, and then the Paramatma is watching those desires, and then the Paramatma sanctions those desires. That okay, you can do this. You can fulfill your this desire. But then how you'll fulfill that desire? Because you are Atma, and your desire is a material desire. So fulfilling material desires, you need a material instrument, right? Because we are a soul. Soul is spiritual. The soul cannot enjoy the material things. For the soul to enjoy the material things, the soul needs a material instrument. So that material instrument is being provided by the Prakriti, by the material nature. So we are given different material bodies. So the material nature then awards us with the suitable arrangement or the suitable instrument to fulfill our desires. And in that way, one executes their desires and then one goes for the sense gratification. So like you will find this is the entire cycle. So in this way, there are three types of doers. The Paramatma is the doer, the Atma is also the doer, and the Prakriti is also doer. So, but the ultimate person who is desiring is what? Is the Atma. Because we desire something, then Paramatma sanctions it, and the Prakriti is fulfilling that desire. So in that way, the ultimate cause is we only. Right? You cannot say that, Arey, I'm not the doer. Now why I'm suffering from this? I was not. No. We desired it. That's why things are happening. If we don't desire, there's no need for Paramatma to sanction it, and there's no need for Paramatma to allow the Prakriti to fulfill that. Right? But we desire, then this whole cycle comes. So like that, there are three types of doers. Okay, we desire, we intend, the super soul sanctions, and then the material nature Prakriti, it is avoiding those things. Okay. तो नाउ सी सो आई थिंक आई होप यहाँ तक समझ में आया होगा किसी को, है ना? तो अभी देखो इस श्लोका के बारे में, इस श्लोका में क्या बताया गया था? जस्ट अगेन टू जस्ट गो थ्रू इट. What was told in the shloka is a translation by Baldev Vidyabhushan. The Nishkam Karma Yogi, having knowledge of the Atma, understanding that the senses alone are interacting with the sense objects while he's seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, speaking, excreting, receiving, है ना? Yeah. Opening and closing the eyes, thinks I am doing nothing at all. तो देखिए क्या है, जो निष्काम कर्म योगी है, देखिए निष्काम कर्म योगी मीन्स व्हाट? No, he's rooted in his knowledge that I am the Atma, I'm not the material body, and he's working with detachment, which means what? He has no desire for sense gratification. So because he has no desire for sense gratification, he has no attachment for sense gratification. So what is happening is, now he understands that I am the Atma. These are all simply activities of the body, which are necessities of the body. Right? I have to do some eating, I have to do some sleeping. Now, but one is not desiring to enjoy those activities. Right? Like there's a saying, na, one should eat to live, not live to eat. Right? One should eat to live, not live to eat. बोलते हैं ना? Right? जीने के लिए खाना चाहिए, खाने के लिए नहीं जीना चाहिए. Right? ना? देखिए जो निष्काम कर्म योगी है ना, he knows that I am the Atma. He knows that this material happiness is not the bodily happiness is not the real happiness. So what is happening now? He eats, he will desire to eat, but he has no attachment to enjoy eating. He has no desire to enjoy his eating or enjoy his sleeping. So that's why he is nishkam. He's performing those activities. He sees that these activities of the bodies are necessities. So he desires to have them, but he has no attachment for enjoying those activities. So because of that, because of not having this desire for enjoyment, what is happening is he's not becoming entangled even while his performance of all these activities, even when he's sleeping, eating, because he's not desiring to enjoy those activities. What is happening is he's not becoming entangled into those activities. Here, because he understands that I'm not the doer. They are simply the functions of the body which are happening now because of the previous karmas which I am having. I'm given certain amount of material body, and then there are some certain sense objects towards which I'm becoming attracted. It's all happening because of the previous karmas which I'm having. So he's not becoming engaged. So he's not having. So again, because वो जीने के लिए खा रहा है, खाने के लिए नहीं जी रहा है, एंजॉय करने के लिए नहीं खा रहा है। तो क्योंकि उसके अंदर में एंजॉयमेंट की मेंटेलिटी नहीं है, इससे क्या होता है, इससे जो निष्काम कर्मी होगी है, he does not become entangled while performing all these different activities of the body. ये इस वर्ष का मोटा मोटा थीम है। आई होप समझ में आ गया होगा अभी आपको इस पॉइंट का। तो एक बार जस्ट वापस मैं आपको इस पे ले चलता हूँ। आई थिंक यही हम डिस्कस कर पाएंगे आज। तो ये देखिए ना, न एव किंचित करोमीति, राइट? ही अंडरस्टैंड दैट आई एम नॉट डूइंग दोज एक्टिविटीज, आई एम नॉट द डूअर ऑफ दोज एक्टिविटीज, व्हिच मींस व्हाट, he understand that I don't have to enjoy those activities. They are simply the functions of the body, and they are happening not by my control. They're happening because see, with respect to the Arjun, how it is there. See, Arjun, he has got a Kshatriya body. Arjun is having a Kshatriya body. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that, see, Arjun, because you have got a Kshatriya body, so so and so because of the sanskar of this Kshatriya body, anyway, you will have to fight. So you fight with this knowledge that because you have got a Kshatriya body, so you have to fight. So you fight with a detached spirit, but because this is the sanskar of the body. This is the impression of the body that it needs to fight. So you fight it. So if you fight with this consciousness of detachment, then you will not become entangled. That's the point. That's the point. So this is just to again just show you this thing, karta wala thing, right? So we discuss one thing. Now, is the soul doer? Actually, soul is the doer, but soul is not a swatantra. He's not a soul is a karta, but the soul is not the swatantra karta. This is first thing we discussed. And how? And for any activity to happen, there are three types of causes. There's an initiating cause, there's an instrumental cause, and there's a sanctioning cause, right? So in this material world, the Atma is the initiating cause because the Atma desires, and then the Paramatma is sanctioning, is the sanctioning cause, and ultimately that desire is being fulfilled by the medium of the material nature, Prakriti, that is called as the instrumental cause, okay? So that is the thing. That's what we discussed. So if somebody is performing, if somebody has no attachment, see, Nishkam Karma Yogi means he has no desire for sense enjoyment. He has no attachment to performing activities for sense enjoyment. So because he has no such desire, then what happens is he's not getting entangled by these activities. Even though these bodily activities are happening, but they're not happening, but they're not going to lead him to entanglement. This is the thing. So I think so. Prabhupada is also, if she sees just Prabhupada purpose, I think this we can read, and then I think we'll end. Time भी हो गया ना शायद से?
Person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently, he has nothing to do with any work which depends on five immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification, but in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are action of senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the action of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord because he knows that he is the eternal servitor of the Lord.
So with respect to the devotee, a devotee knows that I am a servant of Krishna. It's my duty to serve Krishna. So that's why No, he does not become affected, he does not consider himself as a doer with respect to the devotee. But with respect to Nishkam Karma Yogi, he understands that I am the Atma. And he has no attachment for sense enjoyment. So he's just performing those activities. So because of which he's not becoming entangled. Okay. I think we'll let us end here. If there are some questions, we can discuss. Chat box में कुछ आया है. Pushpinder Prabhu, similarly, materialistic people, when frustrated with material life, take up Bhagavad Gita and study by themselves and did mental solution. They did not approach the teacher to learn. Yeah, correct. Aman Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Amazing class. So, Prabhuji, my question is that in text number 6, you mentioned in the purport, Prabhupada mentioned that Mayavadi engaged in speculation and speculation of Vedanta. They cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. And when they become frustrated, and sometimes they become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. So, what kinds of troubles comes in their life?
So basically, they speculate, na? See, so what is the Mayavad philosophy that everything is ultimately Brahman, other things are all Maya, right? Na? So even when they are reading Krishna's pastimes, they are seeing that Krishna is a Maya. So why Krishna is embracing the gopis? Why Brahman is acting in this particular manner? So they have their own ways of interpreting it. So they cannot relish. We as a devotee we understand that Krishna is the Lord, and he reciprocates with the devotees. So he's having exchange of love with the devotees. So these aspects, because they are interpreting, they will say that Kurukshetra means something, and Pandavas means something. All hodgepodge things are there. There's no bliss we can derive from that. See, like one aspect is that it's an exchange of the love between Lord and the devotee. But now for them, there is no concept of Lord. They think everything is impersonal, Nirakar Brahman. So then there is a question of Krishna's Rasa is also doesn't make sense to them, or Krishna's stealing of the gopis clothes does not make any sense to them, or the love and the devotion of Prahlad and the Amrish and Dhruva Maharaj does not make any sense to them. That's the point. Because they think that everything is Brahman, we are also Brahman, everything is God. Right? So then, what is the meaning of one God praying to the other God? Right? Dhruv Maharaj is offering prayers to Lord. What is the meaning of one God praying to other God? Right? Cannot relish that. That's the point.
Prabhuji, their pleasure is on spiritual platform or on mental platform?
Their pleasure is from, you're talking about Mayavadis, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Their pleasure is on a spiritual platform or on mental platform?
So see, spiritual platform is based upon the spiritual truth. Na? They are only on the mental platform only. They're just trying to have mentally. They're just trying to understand the things, interpreting the things. It's all like mental jugglery. No spiritual happiness. Spiritual will come with proper understanding of Atma and the relationship with Paramatma. That will give spiritual pleasure. Okay. Kanchanpu is asking, in example of cutting tree, there was two causes, and example of the criminal, three causes were there. Is it that some cases have two causes and some have no? Every cause is a three cause. Just for the sake of understanding, we're understanding that way. But everything is having these three causes. There's a desirer, there's an instrument by which the desire is being performed, and there's a sanctioner of that desire, right? So like the example of cutting of the tree was there, right? So see, we desire to cut the tree, then we need to have an instrument, but then it has to be sanctioned by the Paramatma. Suppose if the Paramatma does not sanction, then I will not get the axe only. हो सकता है मुझे कुल्हाड़ी ना मिले, या फिर हो सकता है कि मेरा हाथ में लकवा मार जाए, मैं उसको काट ही ना पाऊँ, है कि नहीं? तो वहां पे भी वो कॉज इज देयर, तीनों कॉजेज उसमें रहेंगे हर एक चीज के लिए. ओके कंचन ब्रो. And Sandeep Prabhu, can a Nishkam Karmyogi make a mistake of meat eating without any desire of his sense gratification? Okay? Can a Nishkam Karmyogi make a mistake of meat eating without any desire of his sense gratification? I'm going to make a mistake of it, a mistake of meeting without any desire for sense gratification. Mistake तो I don't know, mistake से तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, without a desire for sense gratification. निष्काम अगर बोले, निष्काम बोल दे मतलब कि उसका अभी डिजायर नहीं रहा है, एंजॉय करने का डिजायर ही नहीं रहा है, ठीक है, बाय मिस्टेक तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, भक्ति होगी, कैन आल्सो एंड अप ईटिंग सम मीट, व्हाट टू स्पीक ऑफ निष्काम कर्मी होगी, बाय मिस्टेक तो एनीथिंग विल कैन हैपन, बट निष्काम कर्मी मींस ही हैज नो डिजायर फॉर, he has no desires for sense gratification, right? Of course, that's the point. So, I mean, Prabhu, Mayavadi sannyasi, if they read Srila Prabhupada's purport, still they interpret, yeah, because they're attached to their own interpretations. They have their speculations, na? That is a jnani. Speculation. Speculator means what? Those who derive happiness in, you know, अपने दिमाग को घुमाने में जिनको मजा आता है, that's the meaning of the speculators. They don't accept. They have their own versions. And interestingly, Bhagavatam, Gita, also Krishna has Lord has put some things to for the Mayavadis to interpret it also. That's why उनको डिबेट करने के लिए रखा भी गया है, भगवत गीता में भी, भागवतम में भी कुछ ऐसी चीजें रखी भी गई हैं उनके लिए थोड़ा. हरे कृष्णा जी, फॉर बैड एक्टिविटीज ऑल्सो these three causes work, right? For any activity, these three causes work, right? Even if you want to, like criminal is there, he wants to do some crime, so it has to be sanctioned by the Paramatma, na? He has desire. It has to be performed. It has to be sanctioned by the Paramatma, and then the material nature also gives some facility for the enjoyment, isn't it? Yes, Aman Prabhu, and then Surya Prabhu. Sorry, पहले
Yes,
Surya Prabhu. Aman Prabhu has already asked, na? Surya Prabhu, you can ask me.
Hare Krishna. Rochi, after this wholesome talking, we can understand one thing that we need to understand our nature, and according to our nature, we should be acting. So, Prabhuji, sometimes it happens that how can we understand actually the nature, the one whether one is actually we are trying to detach something, and although we are attached to, like one can how can we understand one is more good in detached from material activities or by doing it, मतलब मतलब material activity में जैसे वो हम जो मटेरियल एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं हम उसको डिटैच कर रहे हैं, वी शुड नॉट बी अटैच टू द मटेरियल एक्टिविटी एंड डूइंग इट फॉर सर्विस ऑफ कृष्णा. और ये अंडरस्टैंड कैसे करें वो कि वो मटेरियल एक्टिविटी करके वो ज्यादा बेटर सर्विस कर पाएगा या फिर वो उसको छोड़ के अच्छे से सर्विस कर पाएगा भगवान को, ये कैसे समझेगा वो?
Okay, fine.
क्योंकि या तो उसमें पहले फर्स्ट टाइम उसको पहले एक्शन करना पड़ेगा और फिर देखना पड़ेगा, मतलब ऑफ कोर्स मटेरियल एक्टिविटी करके, जैसे आप बता रहे थे कि मटेरियल एक्टिविटी करके दैट इज मच मोर इजियर देन पहले से ही हम डिटैच हो जाए, मतलब जैसे योगी बन जाए, तो दैट इज मच मोर डिफिकल्ट फॉर हिम.
Okay, I understood your question, bro. I understood your question. So, anyways, Prabhu is asking कि भाई हम कैसे जज कर सकते हैं कि हमें मतलब एक्टिविटीज करके, मतलब बेसिकली हमें निष्काम या फिर हमें कर्म योगा करना चाहिए हमें, या फिर सीधा ज्ञान योगा में आ जाना चाहिए, राइट? यही पूछना चाहते हैं आप, राइट? राइट, तो देखिए अर्जुन को कैसे पता चला कि उसको क्या करना चाहिए, कौन बता रहे थे उनको? Krishna was there, right? Now, see, on his own, Arjun was thinking that I am more qualified. I am better qualified for performing Gyan Yoga. I can take sannyas, can go to the forest, and can do these things. I need not to do this fight. I can avoid having this fight. So on his own, he was thinking that like that. But Krishna was seeing the situation of Arjuna. He told, no, no, no. For you, it's better to perform the Karma Yoga. Same way in our life also, no, we have our authorities are there with us, so they can understand it, right? And how they will understand it, it's not that they will have in their dreams, they will see. Like for example, like you are being told, Prabhu, give up your studies, and just perform devotional service 24 hours, right? Now, suppose if it is being told to you, right, you may be very excited to do it one day, right? But afterwards, if you are having thoughts that, "Arey, but what about my body? 24 hours doing bhakti, very difficult. What about my body? Oh, but my parents are telling like this. What about them? Oh, but my mind is telling like this. What about it?" Right? So that means that no, we are not qualified to do that way, right? No? So that's why we need a guidance in our life, right? So the guides, they can understand our situation at our level and they can give us understanding, right? That's the point. And it is also easier for us, right? See, the goal of life is to become a pure devotee of Krishna, which means what? Just stand and read and hear and preach. That's all, nothing else, right? Can we do like it? Very difficult, isn't it? Right? Which means we are not fully purified. We have material desires, we have material attachments. So then we have to take to the process of devotional service by which we can gradually get promoted in devotional service. Okay. Fine. Here's Aman Bro.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, भागवतम श्लोककं वदन्ति तत् तत् विदस्तत्त्वं यत् ज्ञानार्थं ब्रह्मेत्मि परमात्मेति भगवानिति च विद्यते।
Yes.
तो प्रभु जी, ये लोग जो मीन्स ब्रह्मांड का अंडरस्टैंडिंग होता है, तो ये भी तो एक एब्सोल्यूट ट्रुथ के प्लेटफॉर्म पे आएगा, स्पिरिचुअल एक्टिविटीज पे।
करेक्ट। तो
तो
आप पूछ रहे
प्रभु जी ये
मायावादी के लिए पूछ रहे हैं आप? हाँ,
हाँ, यस प्रभु जी, तो मायावादी जो प्लेजर लेते हैं वो स्पिरिचुअल प्लेटफॉर्म पे ना होके एक मेंटल प्लेटफॉर्म पे आ रहा है, तो ये थोड़ा सा मतलब समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
ओके फाइन। तो आपका क्वेश्चन ये है कि भाई ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवान, राइट?
यस प्रभु।
जो एब्सोल्यूट ट्रूथ है उसका रियलाइजेशन तीनों लेवल पर होता है, एज अ भगवान, एज अ परमात्मा एंड ऑल्सो एज अ ब्रह्म ज्योति, राइट ना?
यस प्रभु।
आपका क्वेश्चन है कि जो मायावादी का जो प्लेजर आ रहा है वो किस जगह? देखो, डिपेंड करता है। सी इफ द let us not talk about mayavadi, let's talk about impersonalists. Those who are not mayavadis, those who are impersonalists. What is the understanding of the impersonalist? That there's a brahma jyoti, we are a part of the brahma jyoti, and these material activities are all temporary, they are futile, and the purpose of life is to merge with that brahma jyoti. So if they're acting in that platform with this consciousness and they're performing the activities, then they're also going to become elevated to the spiritual platform. They will also come to the realization that I am a soul, and I am a soul, and they will be also able to derive the happiness of the soul because of detachment from the worldly activities. That pleasure is surely on the spiritual platform, Sat Chit Ananda. So on the platform of the Brahma Jyoti, what pleasure one gets, that's Sat. It's eternal platform. No? And there's a knowledge, there's a consciousness also, right? But there's no activities. There's no activities as it is in the devotional service. Yes. So impersonalist also, if he's having this understanding, this consciousness that I am a Brahman, I am a part of the Brahma Jyoti, I am a Brahman, and I am a spirit soul, and I'm not a matter. I'm not a matter. I'm not a product of the matter, and I'm not supposed to do any material activities. If this is his consciousness, and with this consciousness is performing his activities, spiritual activities, then surely he will have a spiritual happiness. So this is one aspect. Okay. Now when you talk about the Mayavadi, right? Mayavadi also has this understanding that I'm a part of the Brahma Jyoti. I'm also Brahman, right now. But now when he's studying the Leelas of the Lord, let us say he's reading Krishna Leela, this Leela. So because he's seeing them materially, Krishna is also an ordinary person. Krishna is also an ordinary person. Lord Ram is also ordinary person. His body is also ordinary. The activity is also ordinary. So he will not be able to have spiritual happiness from those activities. Those activities because he's seeing them materially. So he can only derive material pleasure out of that. And all the more when he speculates about them, interprets about them, it's all going to be on the mental platform. And the happiness will also be on the mental platform. Right now. But suppose the Mayavadi is thinking about the Brahma Jyoti, Brahman, and the activities of the Brahma Jyoti, then that will give him spiritual joy. But with respect to the activities of the Lord, if he's seeing them materially, trying to speculate upon them, then it's going to be only leading him to the mental pleasure. Is it clear now?
Yes, Prabhuji. So means I can take conclusion that without purification of heart, we should not approach higher topics like Mayavadis. They are on LKG, UKG, and they are trying to read PhD books.
Not only that, rather their whole concept of understanding is completely bogus. That's the problem. Let's see. If you are at a lower understanding, no problem. Eventually, there's a scope for you to come to the higher understanding. But in case of the Mayavadis, they're attached to having a wrong understanding. That no, this is all Maya. Even the Lord's activities are also Maya. So because they're attached to it, they have no scope of rising to the higher level. And that's why they become the offenders. And that's why they don't become liberated. The impersonalists who are not Mayavadis, they become liberated. They can go to the Brahma Jyoti. But the Mayavadis, because of the offense, because they consider the Lord body and the Lord's activities as material, they become the offenders. They're not promoted to the Brahma Jyoti. They have to be into this material world only. That's the difference. ठीक है ना?
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna,
हाँ,
Prabhuji. One last question, Prabhuji. One silly question I have, like impersonalist. जब हम लोग कहते हैं तो उसका मतलब यही होता है ना, जो भगवान के पर्सनल फीचर में यकीन नहीं करते हैं,
और जब मायावादी कहते हैं तो वो उनका मतलब ये होता है कि जो भगवान को भी एज अ ऑर्डिनरी ट्रीट करते हैं और उनको भी एज अ जैसे सारे जगत को माया के रूप में देखते हैं, इल्यूजन देखते हैं, वैसे ही भगवान को भी वो एज ए इल्यूजन ही देखते हैं।
या
यही डिफरेंस है ना एग्जैक्टली दोनों में।
तो देखो बेसिकली इम्पर्सनलिस्ट मतलब दो टाइप के इम्पर्सनलिस्ट बोल सकते हैं आप, एक है मायावादी और एक है जो ब्रह्मवादी। टेक्निकल टर्म्स जो है वो है ब्रह्मवादी एंड मायावादी। ओके, ब्रह्मवादी कौन है? जो ब्रह्म ज्योति को सुप्रीम मानते हैं, जिनका जो जिनका जो डिजायर्ड डेस्टिनेशन है वो है ब्रह्म ज्योति। दे वांट टू मर्ज इन द सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन। ओके, एंड दे आल्सो एक्सेप्ट दैट ओके द सेम ब्रह्मन आल्सो एक्सेप्ट्स द फॉर्म, है ना, इन द मोड ऑफ गुडनेस, एंड दैट इज लॉर्ड राम एंड कृष्णा। जो लॉर्ड राम और कृष्ण है वो मानते हैं कि ये ब्रह्मन ही है, और ये स्पेशल ब्रह्मन है ना, गुडनेस में ब्रह्मन है, मतलब वो तो जैसे राम है कृष्ण है, उनकी जो एक्टिविटीज है वो मटल नहीं है, वो स्पिरिचुअल है, और उनकी जो बॉडीज है वो भी मटल नहीं है, वो भी स्पिरिचुअल है। राइट, सो दे अंडरस्टैंड दैट दे आर सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन ओनली। राम कृष्ण दे आर आल्सो ब्रह्मन, दे आर सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन, दे आर सुप्रीम, है ना। एंड बट दे आर आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द सुप्रीम ब्रह्म ज्योति, एंड दे आर मोर अटैच्ड टू द सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन। दे आर मोर अटैच्ड टू मर्जिंग इनटू दैट ब्रह्म ज्योति। उनका अटैचमेंट ज्यादा कहाँ पर है? ब्रह्म ज्योति में मर्ज होने के लिए उनको अट्रैक्शन है। लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे चतुष कुमार थे, जो फोर कुमारस के बारे में आता है, राइट, दे वर नोइंग अबाउट लॉर्ड विष्णु, दे वर हैविंग अट्रैक्शन फॉर लॉर्ड विष्णु, दे वर नोइंग अबाउट लॉर्ड विष्णु, राइट, तभी तो वो जा रहे थे ना वहाँ पे, गेट पे जा रहे थे वहाँ पे उनसे मिलने के लिए, तो उनको लॉर्ड विष्णु के बारे में पता था कि दे वर नोइंग दैट लॉर्ड विष्णु इज सुप्रीम, ही इज अ सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन, यू नो। लेकिन उनका जो अटैचमेंट था वो ब्रह्म ज्योति के लिए था, इसलिए वो लोग ब्रह्मवादी थे, यू नो। उनका जो डिजायर था मर्ज होने का वो ब्रह्म ज्योति में था। तो क्योंकि उनका इनिमिकल एटीट्यूड नहीं है, दे आर नॉट इनिमिकल और ऑफेंडेड टुवर्ड्स लॉर्ड विष्णु और कृष्णा और लॉर्ड राम, तो इसलिए क्या होता है, उनको फिर भी उनका डेस्टिनेशन मिल जाएगा, उनको ब्रह्म ज्योति में जाना है, ब्रह्म ज्योति में पहुंच जाएंगे वो लोग, ऐसा है। और ये मायावादी लोग क्या है, लेकिन मायावादी लोग बोलते हैं कि उनके बीच में एक ही डिफरेंस है कि क्या है, वो लोग राम कृष्णा या विष्णु इनको नहीं मानते, उनको भी वो माया मान लेते हैं, उनकी एक्टिविटीज को भी वो माया मान लेते हैं। तो क्योंकि इस ऑफेंस ये ऑफेंसिव हो गया, इस ऑफेंस के कारण फिर क्या होता है कि वो लोग का फिर डिग्रेडेशन हो जाता है, वो लोग ब्रह्म ज्योति को भी अचीव नहीं कर पाते हैं। तो समझने के लिए आप समझते हो कि दो तरह के इम्पर्सनलिस्ट हैं, है ना। ऑफकोर्स जो बोनाफाइड इम्पर्सनलिस्ट है वो है ब्रह्मवादी। जो बोनाफाइड इम्पर्सनलिस्ट कौन है? वो ब्रह्मवादी है, जो ब्रह्मन, जिनका जो डिजायर गोल है वो ब्रह्म ज्योति है। और जो कृष्णा राम उनको भी ब्रह्मन ही मानते हैं, सुप्रीम ब्रह्मन मानते हैं, उनको मटल नहीं मानते हैं ना। लेकिन दूसरे कौन है? कुछ वो मानते हैं कि देखो ब्रह्म जो ब्रह्मन इन द मोड ऑफ गुडनेस, ब्रह्मन इन द मोड ऑफ पैशन, ब्रह्मन इन द मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस, इस तरह से वो वर्कआउट करते हैं। लेकिन मायावादी क्या है, वो मानते हैं कि वो मटेरियल है, तो वो बोनाफाइड, वैसे दे आर नॉट द बोनाफाइड इम्पर्सनलिस्ट आल्सो यू कैन से, इसलिए उनको कुछ हायर एलिवेशन नहीं मिलता है। मायावादी दे नॉट एबल टू बी प्रमोटेड आउट ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड, दैट्स द पॉइंट। सुनिए आपको, मायावाद, मायावाद मीन्स माया मानना, राइट, दैट्स द पॉइंट। भगवान को भी माया मानना, उनकी एक्टिविटीज को भी माया मानना, दैट्स द कॉल्ड एज मायावाद। ठीक है
थैंक यू।
प्रभु। ओके, ये समन प्रभु। एनीथिंग, एनीवन एल्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम मन प्रभु? ओके, हाँ मन प्रभु प्लीज।
जी, एक कैटेगरी ऐसी है प्रभु जी कि वो ना महाविष्णु को सुप्रीम मानती है और कृष्णा और राम को उनका एक्सपेंशन मानती है। वो ऐसा वो सोचते हैं कि उनके एक छोटे फॉर्म है कृष्णा और राम।
ओके,
तो वो किस कैटेगरी में लाइक करेंगे, इम्पर्सनलिस्ट या
देखो एटलीस्ट मटेरियल नहीं मान
किस
रहे हैं ना, तो
कैटेगरी?
मटेरियल नहीं मान रहे तो वो दे आर मोर क्लोजर टू ब्रह्मवादी, क्योंकि वो मटेरियल नहीं मान रहे ना विष्णु को, और लॉर्ड रामकृष्ण को मटेरियल नहीं मान रहे, स्पिरिचुअल मान रहे हैं। तो आप उनको फिर स्पिरिचुअल उनको फिर आप ब्रह्मवादी मान सकते हो, अगर उनका डेस्टिनेशन भी है ब्रह्म ज्योति में मर्ज होना, तो दे कैन बी
ओके
कंसिडर्ड
ओके।
ब्रह्मवादी। ठीक है ना। जो मायावादी होंगे तो वो तो उन सबको मानेंगे नहीं ना, वो सब उनको तो मटल ही मानेंगे, चाहे वो विष्णु हो, चाहे महाविष्णु हो, चाहे कृष्णा राम, वो सब मटल, जैसे हम लोग मटल फॉर्म लेते हैं वैसे वो सब मटल फॉर्म लेते हैं। जैसे हमारी एक्टिविटीज मटल है, उनकी भी एक्टिविटीज मटल एक्टिविटीज है। जैसे हम लोग बाउंड अप है मटल एक्शन से एक्शन में, वैसे दे थिंक दैट इवन राम कृष्णा, they are also bound up by the material actions and reactions, karmas. They are also having their karmas. That's how they think. But Brahmavadis, they know that they are not acting out of their karmic reactions. No, they are supreme that way. But their attachment is for Brahma Jyoti. That's what defines their destination. Okay.
ओके प्रभु।
Okay. I think should we end here then? Thank you so much. Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki jai.